Hi, everyone. Shauna Robinson, Wellness A to Z. I'm so excited about my next guest, Amina AlTai, who is a holistic leadership and mindset coach. She is one of my favorite follows on Instagram, and I am so glad that I've gotten to know her over the last year. She is amazing. She's just got the most warm and like delightful energy. Every time I talk to her, I walk away feeling uplifted. So thank you so much for being here today. And she also is beautiful to boot. I mean, like, again, we were just talking about like, have you never, like, you always look so put together and it's just awesome. I'm so jealous.
Thank you so much for having me. And my husband, I'm sure, would disagree on the looking put together piece because you should see me on a Sunday morning. So, yeah.
Okay.
We
Well,
can talk about how my favorite thing is like efficient getting ready. So, like, what are the quick tips and tricks that I can use to like look pulled together without that much effort? That's like my MO always.
yeah, I'm with you. I don't need to spend a lot of time. I mean, most people who know me know that I will literally throw product in my hair in the shower. I let it air dry. Like, I don't have time to blow dry. I'd be still in the bathroom from like yesterday when I washed my hair. It just takes I don't have I it's not how I want to spend my time. Like, we have a finite amount of time on this earth. I'm not spending it blow drying my hair. Like, I have other things to do.
Love that. Time is our most precious resource. I agree. And I cannot spend it like with a rolling brush in one hand and a dryer in the other. I cannot.
I never learned how to blow dry my hair, like blow out my hair. I don't like my hair blown out anyway. Like, I used to get blowouts like, like long, long time ago. And so many people, if I get my hair cut or I get my hair colored, they're like, could we blow out your hair? And I'm like, there's like one person in this world that I will let blow out my hair. She's one of my dearest friends. She's got a gift. Otherwise, I'm like, please don't. The last time I had it done, I was like, okay, sure, go for it. It will frizz the minute I walk out the door. I promise you. And he's like, there's literally no humidity. And I was like, sure. Walk out the door. 5 minutes later, I took a picture and I sent it to him. And he was like, I mean, it was like I was channeling radio waves. Like, it was,
Amazing. Your
yeah.
hair is like, if there's humidity, we will find it.
Yeah, I know. My hair's like, F you, you are not gonna get blown out. But anyway, I know that we can talk about blowouts and hair all day long. It's some of my favorite topics, but I really want to dig into some of the, more meaty mindset topics. And, what is it that you do as a holistic leadership and mindset coach? I mean, your content is always just so spot on and just, it hits. It's very direct. It's amazing. So how did that start?
Thank you. I really appreciate that. And I feel the same for you. Your content is always so juicy, and I'm always learning with everything that you share, which is amazing.
Oh, thank you.
I'm really taking leaps out of your book as well.
Awesome. Well, I love this mutual admiration society. We can just do this forever. But, how did that all get started for you? Because I mean, that wasn't like you didn't wake up one day, that was not how you started your work life. So that obviously, it took some twists and turns.
Yeah, so I started my career in marketing and I started on the brand side. I worked for Cartier for a little bit and then I co founded a marketing agency and I did that for almost 7 years. And while I was running the agency, I basically was taking care of everybody but myself. I had no boundaries and I was putting clients first, employees first, my business partner first, everybody but myself. And I ended up burning out and developing two autoimmune diseases. So I had like all of this chronic unmanaged stress, psychological, physical, and it manifested as celiac disease and Hashimoto's. And I basically had this like stop moment where I had to reevaluate everything, like my relationship with work and people and myself, and like look at all my shadows. And basically from there went on this journey to really, I call it my eat pray love year, where I went back to school to study meditation and nutrition and mindfulness and coaching and all these tools, basically hoping to really heal my own life, and then just became so lit up by what was available to me. I thought, okay, I've got to share this. And it took me a while, honestly. It is not linear. A lot of the times people are like, okay, well, it's just going to look really sequential and I'm going to choose this one career and it's going to be this one thing. And it is
Mhm.
going to be opposite for me. Like for me, it's been this story of let me try this thing on, see if it's right for me. Okay, clear. That's another thing that's not right for me. Now I can move on to this other thing.
I have the same experience. My career trajectory is not linear whatsoever. It's like a maze. It's been, yeah, twists and turns. So I can totally identify with that. It's just not, I've had to try a lot of things on and it's like, this fits, this doesn't. So I get that for sure.
Yeah, I think of it as like a beautiful spiral. Like we're moving upwards and we're refining, but
Like
we
the
have to try
Guggenheim.
just like the Guggenheim.
Mhm.
Such a beautiful spiral.
It is.
Um, So yeah, so it took me a while, and I was consulting for a while in the marketing space, and I had launched a corporate wellness company thinking that I was going to teach everybody in corporate America how to live well. But there was a moment in that where I still wasn't feeling fully expressed. I felt like, okay, like yes, this is more right than my marketing career, but this still isn't all of me. And so I had this moment where I remember like hitting my meditation cushion and being like, show me the way. Like I don't know what is right for me. Like please, like place the breadcrumbs. And there was this message for me that was basically like, create your own work, like teach from the story view, create your own work. Up until that point, I had been teaching other people's curriculum, right? Whether it was in the marketing space or in corporate wellness, but I wasn't really teaching something that was true for me. So I sat down and I designed my own curriculum that really sits at the intersection of leadership and business coaching, mindset coaching, and wellness coaching. Because I believe that we need to look at all three of those areas with the same due diligence to really live fully expressed and well and whole. Like, how am I showing up in my career? How am I taking care of myself? What's my mindset like? And then creating a holistic picture and pathway from there.
I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, if one thing is out of whack, everything is out of whack, right? Like, and that may be a harsh word, but it's true. And it's true. I experienced that too. I mean, we were talking about this prior to, just, clicking record, but, the autoimmune disease really that showed up for me too. I mean, I was walking around with undiagnosed celiac, and then we were talking about the Hashimoto's, and we both had a ferritin level of 4, which is crazy. I mean, like how we have hair on our heads right now is, there was a lot in the shower drain, which we talked about. But I mean, what my naturopath said to me was, you have two choices. You can develop Hashimoto's in a year if you don't do anything about this, if you continue eating, not managing your stress and doing the things, whatever, or manage your stress, eat some meat. And I was like, cool, literally went to Whole Foods and bought some, short ribs that day, and it's completely changed. But like, that is such a, like, for people to understand that your stress will manifest as a physicality, like that is, it's life altering, right? Like you can't eat the same way. You can, but you also have to, look at your stress a different way and manage it a different way. You can't just keep going with your foot on the gas, like, it's fine. Like you can't do that. So I love that you bring it all together. I mean, that's something that's super important to me as well. Um, so I know that you also work with entrepreneurs and you also work with intrapreneurs. So what is an entrepreneur? I love that word.
Yeah. So I believe that we all have free will and we make choices. And in the context of an organization, we still have choice too, right? There, we might have a manager where you might not have in, as if you're running your own business, or we have people that we are like stakeholders that we're reporting into, whatever it is. But there's a way for us to create freedom and ownership and authenticity in the context of that organization that I call intrapreneurship. So we can still be entrepreneurs in the context of another organization. It's just really about stepping into alignment and aligning with the truth of who we are and how we want to express our careers and what we do.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, entrepreneurship isn't for everybody. I mean, I know that there are times that I wish that I could just be like, cool, I can, work a 9 to 5 and be totally happy in doing that. And other times I'm like, no, I know it's not for me. It just isn't in alignment with me. I cannot speak today or ever. Um,
Me either. I'm always like stumbling over my words.
I know it's like my brain is moving faster than my mouth is. And I'm like, okay, all right, let's slow down, take a breath, and then we'll move from there.
Yeah.
So we're in this, wacky COVID time where, we're working from home. I mean, you and I talked about this. We've been working from home a lot, just,
Mhm.
even before COVID, it's, sort of commonplace, but we're spending so much more time connecting with people over screens and all of this stuff, and we feel taxed. And you just did something to help reset. And I'd love for you to talk a little bit more about that and like how that idea came to be.
Yeah. So I did a 2-day at home silent retreat. And mind you, I have never done a silent retreat ever. So I started to do some research of like, well, how can I design this at home? Because most people will go to like an ashram or a meditation center to do a multiple day silent retreat. But I was like, I'm going to figure out how to do this at home. So I did a little research. And so the big thing for me was, how can I really structure this? So I needed to create the boundaries. And
That's
so in
sound effects. It's cool.
Sorry, my
No,
calendar
we all have them.
is it, but I'm sorry.
Nope, all good.
Um, So it's basically like, okay, what are the boundaries that I need to set to structure this for myself? So I work with an amazing part-time assistant and was like, hey, I'm going to reach out to my clients and let them know that I'm not going to be available for these 2 days, but I want you to be their sort of frontline contact in case, something does come up and you need to access me. I made a list of the people that I would check in on. So I wanted to make sure that I like checked in on my mom and, people that I'm close to. And then I live with my husband and I let him know like, hey, I'm going to do these 2 days. I'm going to go totally inward, be silent. So like, hey, no speaking to me, and like also no messaging me on the phone. If you need me, there's a notepad in the kitchen. Just like leave me a little note. And I also set some other parameters too. So I decided I wasn't going to watch like Netflix or TV or anything because like I think there's sometimes I can numb out that way. So I'm like, okay, none of that. And to be off technology as much as possible. So I allowed myself to check in on email once a day. And like I said, checked in on like my list of like my people. Um, and it was the most nourishing thing ever because for 2 days, I didn't really take anything in that I didn't want to, and I didn't have to give anything that I didn't want to. And I think that's such a beautiful lesson for my life because oftentimes I'm talking about nourishment and like where are we overgiving and undernourished. And I was just like, okay, this is really great noticing for me. Maybe I'm like not filling myself up in certain ways. But it was so profound. And so I meditated a lot. I wasn't even like prescribing myself of like, you have to read these books or like, I really wanted to stay away from the productivity, but I felt called to read two things. I felt called to read the Bhagavad Gita because I was like, I think there's leadership lessons in there for me. So I picked that up. And then I also felt called to read 25 of MLK's speeches. And so that was, again, I was like, I think there's like a lesson in here for me. So those are the only two things that I really did for 2 days. And it was so amazing.
I love it. I mean, I'm like, how can I do that right now? Because it just sounds so nourishing. We overconsume and we undernourish in so many ways.
Mhm.
And, the undernourishment isn't just about food. I think it's, what is the brain food? Like the things that you read, and it also sparked something for you. You came out of that and you're like, okay, I have this idea and I want to give this course, and you've created something out of that. So I would love to talk a little bit more about that too. You're making
Yeah.
your takers. I just was like, oh, she's so brilliant.
Oh, I wish I came up with that term. That's pretty brilliant. But I think it was so I started my silent retreat on a Monday. And I think the Friday before I read this article, and I don't remember if it was on CNN or New York Times or something, but basically they were saying that the COVID crisis can be really split up into the makers and the takers. So the idea that there are people that are supporting, that are the essential workers who are really taking care of us, and there are people that are just taking. So they're not giving back, and they're just like making sure, coming from a fear-based place, making sure that they're okay without checking in on others. And I don't really believe in binaries in that way, but I know there's a spectrum. And I was so clear of where I wanted to be on the spectrum. I was absolutely, come hell or high water, not going to be a taker. And I wanted to contribute. I wanted to give back. And so I wasn't really taking that seed into meditation or into the retreat. But then coming out of the retreat, I was like, okay, I need to be of the highest service. And being of the highest service looks like this. So it looked like I wanted to create a digital course specifically to people that have been impacted right now. So whether they've lost their jobs or lost projects or been furloughed. So supporting them in like finding their next thing or finding a job or new projects and managing their grief. And the other piece is I don't usually do single sessions. Most of my coaching is like a program. But I thought, okay, I'm going to offer 8 single sessions a month, and I'm going to donate all of that revenue to No Kid Hungry and National Domestic Workers Alliance, because that's one way that I can give back. And also it allows people to take care of themselves, and it also pay it forward as well, which I thought was beautiful. Not to toot my own horn, but I was like, cool, like we can take care of our mindset
Yeah.
and give it to other people.
Oh,
Um,
beep, beep, sister, toot it, because that was like it's great. I mean, it is. I was like, wow, that's just it inspired me. I'm like, what, I want to be a maker as well. I want to be of service. I want to be of the highest service. What else can I be doing? Is it producing more content? Whatever it is, whatever that looks like. And I think it's individual for people. And I think that's what you help people do is you help them figure that out, like where it is that they can be, their foundation that they can be operating from. Who do they want to be in this world, not even just in the now, but in this world.
Yeah. And like, what's integrity for us? Because I love that you hit on this beautiful point. It's like, what's integrity for me and what's being of service for me is different than what it is for you. And it is all beautiful and perfect. And so, being of service could be, calling a friend or like checking in on your mom. It doesn't have to be this huge production. It's like, let's define what that means for ourselves. Let's define how we want to lead or show up in this moment, and then operate from that place of, and it's true consciousness versus, going with the fear.
Yeah, I think, well, fear, I've heard two acronyms that really resonate with me. One is false evidence appearing real,
I know that one.
and then face everything and rise, which I've started to use that a
Oh,
little bit more
I love
often because it
that.
just, yeah, it's like, wow, that actually to me just has a little bit more positivity and a little bit
I
like, okay,
love that.
yeah,
Writing that down.
I did not make that up. I wish, but I did not. I saw that it was probably a meme on Instagram. Who am I kidding? But um, yeah, it's like, okay, yeah. I mean, I'm afraid of a lot of things, but just like
Oh,
lean into that and just do it because how else are you going to grow? I don't want to stay in my comfort zone. It's not cute. I do want
no.
to stay in my comfy pants. Those are cute. Comfort zone.
Agreed. Agreed.
Yeah.
I'm not comfortable in my comfort zone. I don't know if you feel this way, but I'm somebody that's always like, okay, like we were talking about, we always want to be of the highest service. And I think that means knowing ourselves even more. And that means, showing up differently every single day or deeper in our authenticity every single day. But I love what you're saying about, like, it's so important to face our fears, right? I think there's a really interesting conversations that are happening in the social space where people are either like, I'm so strong, I don't feel any fear. And I think there's like a lack of vulnerability in that. And then there's the other side of the spectrum too. But there's this beautiful invitation for us to really, instead of running away from the fear, link arms with it, be curious about it, face it. And like you said, rise. Ooh, love that.
I
Just
know it's good,
on that.
and I love that. Like link arms with it. There's something that's showing up. There's something that wants to be birthed and like get, up and out and start to assimilate back into the body. It doesn't need to be, stuck in, wherever that is. It's stuck energy, and that's blocking you from feeling some certain thing. And I look at it, in Chinese medicine, that's the stagnation, and so it's going to show up as, do you have liver stagnation or kidney stagnation, something because there's an emotion attached to it. And that's one of the reasons I love Chinese medicine so much is that it's all interconnected. And so like if in that fear, what are you holding on to, right? Like what's showing up for you in that fear and what needs to be addressed, and like let it start to flow. It's just like a traffic jam. I don't
That's
know about you. I do miss traffic a little bit just because it's like normalcy, but I don't like sitting in traffic.
I agree. I agree. Wait, so this is so beautiful. So are you navigating this in sessions with clients, of just understanding what's happening with their emotion and then what's happening in their bodies as a result? So beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, it was so fascinating to me when I started to learn that. It was like, holy shit. I mean, it's like this, we aren't this, sort of bifurcated being of, mental health and physical health. It's all one and the same.
Yeah.
And so if there is, in one of my previous interviews, we were talking about burnout and how that can show up, not just, obviously in the physical manifestation of your health. And, you might be, like the Hashimoto's and the stress and all that other stuff, but it's also your irritability. And I think that so many people are running around so irritable and sort of like, why did I snap at my kid, my husband, my mom, my whomever it is? Like that was just, it wasn't snapping at them, or it's just, it doesn't. So there's so many things, and it's like, all right, so then you start to just really dig down into, where does that come from. I also, talk about like the clock in Chinese medicine is also a
Mm.
really good diagnostic tool. And I know we're kind of veering off the topic, but I mean, it is like, for me, when people talk about that, I'm like, all right, there's something, there's something there. And by no means am I a therapist. That's my mother was. I'm not. But I like to help people thrive. I like to help people understand that so that they can not necessarily even move it out of the way, just incorporate it into their overall being, because it is part of the fabric that is who they are today. That's why they are. So like, face it and rise. Like it's cool. you know the vulnerability piece, I think, you hit on that, and I love that because people do. It's like, I'm good, I'm, super tough, I don't need to do anything. And I'm like, all right, cool. But that's not true. So
Mhm.
you're just shoving things down deep in a drawer. And
Right.
that stuckness, that stagnation, that comfort zone, whatever, is going to manifest physically. You're going to start to realize all of those things. So, anyway, I could talk about all that stuff forever from a Chinese.
I love it so much. I love talking about the mind body connection. Like,
Yeah,
cause like you're saying, like a lot of us sort of think we're cut off at the neck, right? There's what's happening up here and there's what's happening down here and it's not connected. And it's just not the truth of it.
it's not. I mean, I am working on a post right now. So many people have talked to me just anecdotally. They've said, God, I've had the weirdest dreams.
This has been coming up so much. Yeah, I want to hear. Tell me.
So it's connected to your heart in Chinese medicine. And, I'm learning about it too. And I knew it was connected to the heart, and it's connected to the Shen, which is the overall spirit. And so it's like, there. there's a lot going on right now, right? Like there is, so is it extinguishing our Shen? Is it extinguishing our fire, which is the element that's associated with the heart, but it is associated with the heart. So like there is some sort of blockage that's happening. There's a stagnation there. There's, in the emotion associated with the heart is joy. So is there an absence of joy? Are we not able to feel joy in the same way? So I'm just like, I'm just starting to do this, but it just got me thinking like, God, it's so interesting and how the world has shifted so drastically in the last 6 weeks for us. I mean, it's been, shifting over time, but, it's impacted us here in the US so drastically in the last 6 weeks.
Mhm.
And it's been coming up in the last 3, maybe 4 weeks of, the weird dreams. And I'm like, all right, I have to peel this back. I have to look at this because there's something there that collectively, as it's not individual, right? Like there's something bigger. So anyway, yeah, it's
Wait,
super
cannot
interesting.
wait for that post.
Yeah, I'm excited about it because it's fascinating. Like why all of a sudden is everybody, I mean, like weird. I've even had them. It's not like, oh, my sleep has been awesome, you guys. Like it's been, it's been a little funky too,
Yeah.
for a number of reasons. But the weird dreams or like people that are showing up in my dreams and like, okay, cool. Literally haven't talked about you, thought about you. Like, is there something that I need to examine there? Is that
Yeah.
why it's presenting itself?
Mm.
So yeah,
So beautiful. And it's all data, like we were saying too before. Like
yeah.
the fear is data, the dreams
Yeah.
are data, the messages our body is sending us is data, and then we get to decide what we're going to do with it.
Exactly, exactly. I use the same analogy. It's all data. We're such data-driven people, data-driven society. I mean, we've all, I've worked in corporate, you've worked in corporate, and it's like, you've got to make these data-driven decisions. I'm like, cool. Well, you have a lot that's showing up for you.
Yeah.
It's like,
What do you decide?
yeah. So maybe write it down, take some notes, do it. So you did your silent, retreat. I love that at home, like kudos to you. Amazing. What else are you doing to, kind of, is it movement? Is it food? I mean, kind of all of the above. I also saw the chocolate you made the other day and I was like, I'm into that. So what else are you doing? You know?
Yeah, so pretty much everything.
Mhm.
So, I'm in a similar role to you where I'm supporting people in sessions like pretty much all day, every day, or in group work. And so it's so important that I keep my side of the street clean. And I'm human, right? So like I'm feeling things and I'm feeling the collective and consciousness and emotions and navigating a lot as well. So I've been really doubling down on my practices. So movement every day, which has been so beautiful. I'm somebody that like I'm a very physical person. Like I always love to move and oftentimes when I'm processing emotion, I process it through movement. So that's been so big for me. So I do about an hour a day, but I've been trying like new workouts. I got the mirror. So I've been trying like dance cardio in addition to my usual strength training, which is so great. Um, I'm a Vedic meditator, so I meditate for 20 minutes twice a day, but I've also been adding in like additional meditations because I'm just like, I just got to, keep this space clean and clear
Yeah.
as much as possible. Yeah, and then the nourishing eats. So because of the celiac disease, I have like a ton of food allergies, and I don't know if this happens for you, but like I cycle in and out of allergies like almost seasonally, and so
I haven't
uh,
noticed, but I'm gonna have to pay more attention to that. I've not, but it's funny because my mom was saying the other day, she's like, there's something that she ate. We both ate the same thing that
yeah.
it like did not agree with her, but I was like, I'm fine with it. And it was something that she's been eating forever. She's had celiac a lot longer than I have. So it's interesting that you mentioned that.
Yeah. Like it's interesting because like as we grow, like our brains are different, our personalities are different. We're always evolving. And it's the same for our bodies. Like our bodies are always evolving. So, I always have that check in with like, okay, does this food feel good for me? So anyway, long story long, I have new food allergies that I'm working with. So I've been cooking at home. I was cooking at home a lot anyway. And like this current situation means that cooking even more. So I did the other day make this my own chocolate. So it was like cacao powder, cacao butter, a little monk fruit sweetener, chopped pecans, and then like a dash of cashew butter. And like it was heavenly. And I put them in like little buttercup molds. They were just amazing.
They looked incredible. I was like, Mom, we have to make these. They looked
Those
great.
amazing recipes. So
Uh,
I'm sure you could one up it for sure.
I don't know. I mean, I was like, oh, that's so clever. Like, I hadn't really thought of that before. And I was like, yeah, why couldn't I make my own chocolate? Like, that's just, yeah, like we don't need to buy it. We can totally make it ourselves. Like, just
Yeah.
get the high quality ingredients, um, which is amazing. I've been cooking a lot too. And my mom has like my mom has definitely reaped some benefits, which she's
Oh,
acknowledged. It's not like, oh my God, you're welcome.
yeah.
But yeah, she's definitely enjoying the,
You're
yeah.
probably a great quarantine partner because you make the most amazing foods.
Oh, well, thank you. I think I'm okay. I mean, I'm expanding. I mean, it's also giving me the opportunity to look at different recipes and try different things. And, now that I'm eating different things, again, we're evolving. It's like, okay, let's try this. This didn't work. This didn't work. I mean, I made stuffed mushrooms the other day, which I'd made a million times before, but I tried a different method and it was better. So I'm like, all right, I didn't get a great picture. So I need to make them again, sadly, so that I can get a better picture and post it. But it has been fun. I mean, like, I love being in the kitchen. It's like that's my therapy. That's when I'm just like in flow and I'm just like, yes, this feels so good. And cooking, nourishing food. I mean, not everything I make is like, super hippy dippy healthy and like, whatever, but I do. I mean, most of it is. But not everything. It's okay though.
Yeah, I mean, we're human, we have to live. But I love what you said about being in the state of flow and leaning into those spaces that bring us flow. So, like you were saying, cooking is that space for you. Sometimes it's that space for me, and sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't want to do the dishes. But like finding the spaces where we do feel flow is so important. So, I watched one of my friends is a journalist, and she did an IG live last week, and she talks a lot about beauty. She writes a lot about beauty,
Hmm.
and someone was asking her like, well, what's the role of beauty right now? And she was like, well, if it's something that can get you into the space of flow, if it's something that you can be mindful in it and you're not, lost in something else or in the space of negativity or whatever it is, it's a beautiful thing. And so I think finding those places where we can feel flow. So for me, it's been a little bit of the cooking, but also I've been watching more than my fair share of makeup tutorials. I'm like, this is
Ooh,
so fun and interesting to me. And I do get in that space of flow. So
I've
finding
got
your
to do
place
that. I just got some new makeup. It should be here tomorrow. So I'm gonna,
there.
yeah, I know. Also make your husband do the dishes.
Ooh. Yeah, that's one of my trainings for May is talking about like fairness and equity in this
Yeah.
moment, right? Because so many of us are partnered up with people or roommates or partners or whatever it is, and like what does fairness mean? Like, and also what does fairness mean right now in the sociocultural context as well? So I'll definitely be exploring that and making him do more dishes.
Yeah, my mom actually likes to do the dishes and clean, so it works
Oh,
perfectly.
good.
Yeah, I know. We had to have a talk. She was cleaning up after me, which is, but I was like, okay. And I mean, it's fine. We had our we had our talk, and but yeah, she loves to clean. Like it's her thing. When we travel, she will literally like reorganize her suitcase every day. It gives her joy. It doesn't bother me. I'm like, if that honks your horn, reorganize your suitcase, sister. It's great. But anyway, that is one thing. So, kind of as we start to wrap up, like what are a few things that, tips, guidance, whatever you want to call it, advice that you can give to people that are like super quick, easy, actionable that they can start doing like right now?
Mm. With regards to what specifically?
Anything like mindset, taking care of themselves. I mean, like getting started in a silent retreat at home. I mean, like, yeah, just anything that, kind of crosses your mind, wellness related.
Yeah, I love that. So, one of my favorite exercises to do with people is identify the areas where we feel really like whole, full, and nourished, and the spaces where we don't feel so nourished. So, usually I take people through this exercise and we'll look at everything from like your work to your finances to your love life, sex life, your community. All these different areas of your life. And I ask, like on a scale of 1 to 10, how whole, full, and nourished do you feel? How undernourished do you feel? And from that, you start to see the areas where you need to give back to yourself a little bit more. So then honing in on those areas. So let's say it is work, for example. Well, what about work? Where am I over giving and then under receiving? What context do I need to create to feel good in that? And then inviting yourself into a journaling practice where you start to get these insights and get really clear about what it means to give back to yourself. So I think that that's always a really good first step because then we start to create consciousness around the spaces where we're not consciously fulfilled. And so that's always I think, a really great place to start. And then from there, deciding, okay, well, what are the practices that I need to put in place to allow myself to show up clearly in those spaces? So I incorporate a lot of wellness into my work because I believe it's a conduit to clarity. So if we're not eating in ways that are really like specific and wonderful for us, or if we don't have those practices that ground us, we're not moving in ways that are supportive of us, it's going to impact the relationships, the work, all of those pieces. So then what is the specific plan that you need to put in place for you? So, I think right now, like if I were to share or give any advice or any tidbits, it would be like create something that is an alignment for you. There's so much content out there. And that was partly why I took my silent retreat. It's just like there's amazing content, but there's just so much of it. And I just need to pause and decide what's right for me and what I need and what I don't need. And so create your life like that works for you. Like step into alignment by looking at what you value, what you want to build, what works for you, what doesn't work for you. And I mean that in the context of food. I mean that in the context of work, relationships, all of it. Like now is a beautiful time to drop in and decide how you want to design your life moving forward.
I love that. It is. It is our time to design our lives moving forward every day. I mean, even, pre and post COVID, it's going to be time. Like you get one shot at this. And I think, if we've learned nothing through this other than time is finite, your health is super important. Those are two things, I guess. I can't count. It's cool. I had to repeat algebra twice. Anyway, math was not my strong suit. But I loved this conversation. I always love talking to you and your posts and just engaging with you. And I'm so grateful that I know you and that you are part of my life. And it's just been so wonderful. So thank you so much for this interview and sharing your, what is today? I don't even know, Monday afternoon with me. And where can people find you?
Yeah, thank you. It's my honor, my joy to be here. And everything that you said, I echo back to you tenfold. You are so generous and kind and loving, and you create this amazing space for us all. So thank you. And thank you for
Thank you.
having me. You can learn more about me on Instagram at Amina AlTai or on my website, AminaAlTai.com.
Amazing, which I will also include in the comments. But if you guys have any questions, comments, or anything for Amina, leave them in the comments below. Leave anything else, anything for me, if you want us to wish you a happy birthday, we can totally do that too. I don't know. I'm a big fan of birthdays. I'm a Leo. So I'm like, yeah. So anyway, well, thank you, Amina. It was amazing. And we'll see you all next time. Thank you.
Beautiful day.
Bye.